I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm just leaving my hospice job, and my coworker gave me the nicest compliment on my way out, and we had a little conversation, and I thought to share this because maybe it would help some of you watching. So she pulled me aside and she said, in the most non-creepy way possible that I could mean this, I often observe you working, Jenny, and you seem so confident. And I just wanted to tell you that you have this air of confidence about you, and I find it amazing. And she also asked me, what can I do? Because I struggle with confidence. And so we had a little conversation about it. But first of all, that was such a nice thing to hear. It's always nice to have a compliment paid to you. But on the topic of confidence, by the way, I'm not talking about performative confidence like we see so much of on social media and in the world in general. That's a whole separate thing entirely, I think. It's posturing, it's performative. So I think it's quite easy to differentiate between authentic confidence and that. But putting that aside, of course I have my insecurities, like we all do. Different people are insecure about different things. However, my skill set, whether it be in my work life or my interpersonal relationships, or just in my quiet moments by myself, I am confident in myself. I didn't always have high self-esteem, but I have cultivated it over the years. And in my 41 years on this planet, I do have some life experience, although I have, hopefully, God willing, many years left to live. But what I have found the best way to build self-esteem, authentic confidence, is to do esteemable acts and to have built a portfolio, if you will, of evidence of doing esteemable acts, which I have done. So, like I said, in my quiet moments all by myself, when no one's watching, I know that I have built an extraordinary level of proof, evidence, to myself. I don't have to be validated by anyone. I have that security of knowing in myself. I have built an overwhelming body of evidence that is proof of me being a decent human being and helping others. And so that would be my advice, is to build your self-esteem by performing esteemable acts. And oftentimes those are quiet, thankless acts that go unnoticed, but that you yourself know that you have done. And you can go to bed. There's that saying, you make your bed and you must lie in it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is metaphorically, I sleep very well at night. And actually, I do sleep very well at night, but metaphorically speaking, you can sleep very well in the bed you've made for yourself. So that would be my advice, I suppose, because confidence is not something that is, at least in my opinion, actual authentic self-esteem and value, worth in yourself, and knowing that you have worth and knowing your worth. That conviction comes from within. 100% it comes from within. And it comes from having strong convictions, standing by them, doing what you say you're going to do, following through, walking the walk, and not just talking the talk, but doing the actions. And it's not something I've even noticed, frankly, that I'm doing. It's just the repeated action of doing those things over many, many, many years that I can retrospectively look back and think, wow, I am this way. I guess her feedback brought it to my attention, because I don't think we can quite see ourselves objectively. So it's good to have that feedback from coworkers or people in your life, even family members who know you intimately, who can point out both strengths and weaknesses. But Obviously, it's nice to have pointed out the strengths. It's a nice stroke to the ego, which I'm not going to, be mad about. So it was just really nice. And I never thought of myself as a confident person, but quite evidently I am. And I think I am in many ways. Like I said, I do have my insecurities, like we all do, of course, but there are things about which I am extremely confident, and I think they are the things that matter. My priorities are in order. And I will also say that it took me a long time, I think, to realize that prioritizing myself is an act of service to others. Because I used to think it was an extremely selfish thing to put myself first, tend to myself first, but it isn't, because if I'm not in grade A shape, if I don't tend to my own self first, I'm useless to others. I can't perform my job. I can't show up in my relationships and give to other people, share myself with other people. And that goes for romantic relationship or familial relationship, both, just any interpersonal relationships. I cannot show up for people and serve if I am in bad shape. If I don't take care of myself first, it's that old adage of putting your oxygen mask on your own face first. That's so true. You cannot be of service or value to anyone else around you if you don't take care of yourself first. And what that requires is prioritizing yourself. So it's not a selfish thing at all, actually. This is why we're here on earth, is to serve and help and connect with others. It's not all about ourselves. It's not all about me. So in order to do that in a functional capacity and remain sane and balanced, I have to put myself first. And it serves me and it serves other people, more importantly, very well if I do that. And that's on my mind. That was on my mind. So the last thing I wanted to say is just a reminder, because my coworker and I were doing this as we left. We often do this together because of the nature of our work. But we just take a moment to sit before we leave and we breathe together. Just take a few deep breaths and connect and check in with ourselves, because it's a heavy environment in which I work, and it can be very intense. So this is good to practice anyway, whatever the environment or atmosphere, but take a moment and just check in with your breath. Because if you think about it, we breathe how many times a day, but how many of those breaths are you conscious of? Perhaps none. So maybe take a moment to check in with yourself and your physical body, and take a few deep breaths and just reconnect and breathe. Breathing. I can find very few instances where a few deep breaths make a situation worse. So deep breathing and being grateful for all that you have. Don't take things for granted. Say thank you out loud.